how to plan and create VLANs and their related configurations. Planning VLAN networks and related configurations for an SMB network. Creating and configuring new VLANs. Configuring a wireless network. Configuring a OUI-Based VLAN for a VoIP network. Configuring network isolation and port isolation for a surveillance network. New VLAN configuration panel for Controller version 6.0. Planning VLAN networks and related configurations for an SMB network. Dividing a network with VLANs is common and necessary in SMB networking. Users may have numerous devices running multiple services at the same time. Dividing the network into multiple VLANs offers more efficient and secure network performance and management. Here, we'll walk through a typical setup for 50 to 200 users, with around 20 to 30 wired devices, 10 to 20 access points, 5 to 10 IP phones, and 8 to 15 surveillance cameras plus 1 NVR. You can always simplify this plan based on your actual needs. As shown, this is a typical SMB network topology with an OMADA gateway, PoE switches, hardware controller, and APs, along with IP phones and surveillance devices such as NVRs and cameras. To improve security, performance, and management, divide the internal and guest networks. Latency-sensitive services like VoIP and surveillance should also use dedicated VLANs, allowing you to prioritize their traffic effectively via configurations. The default VLAN 1 is used for managing all OMADA devices. Next, we create VLAN 10 for internal network access. Then, VLAN 20 for public Wi-Fi, VLAN 30 for VoIP traffic, and VLAN 40 for surveillance devices, including NVRs and cameras. The main task of the configuration is to create new VLANs and configure the switch port VLAN status so that all devices connected to different ports can retrieve the correct IP addresses and run traffic in the corresponding VLANs. However, besides the main task, several related configurations are also required to align with the VLAN plan. VoIP and surveillance traffic are sensitive to network latency, so the QoS queue for VLAN needs to be configured to make sure the traffic in this VLAN can be forwarded prior to others. After setting the QoS queue for VLAN, the switch QoS profile needs to be modified to ensure the switches handle different queues correctly. We will then create the SSID for internal personnel and guests. For the internal SSID, use strong encryption and consider disabling SSID broadcast. For the guest SSID, an open network is possible, but enabling guest network isolation is recommended for security. IP phones often share a switch port with a PC. To send each device's traffic to the correct VLAN and prioritize VoIP for better call quality, configure OUI-Based VLAN for the phone traffic. To ensure the security of surveillance traffic and devices, this VLAN network needs to be isolated from others. The switch ports connecting to IPCs also need to be isolated from each other. We've now reviewed the configuration tasks. The main task is creating new VLANs and configuring the switch port VLAN status. Additional related configurations include QoS queues for VLAN and switch QoS profiles, setting up internal and guest SSIDs, enabling an OUI-based VLAN, and applying network and port isolation. Creating and configuring new VLANs. To create a new VLAN network, in the site, go to Network Config, Network Settings, LAN. In the VLAN menu, click the Add button to go to Step 1, Network Parameter. Enter the name of this VLAN and select the device acting as the DHCP server for this VLAN. By default, this will be the gateway. Enter the VLAN ID, and the system will then automatically suggest the subnet and DHCP range. You can always modify this manually. As we have introduced previously, for the VoIP and surveillance VLAN, QoS queue needs to be configured to ensure the traffic is prioritized for a better experience. QoS queues decide the priority of this traffic when a switch is forwarding. There are 8 queues on OMADA switches, TC0 to TC7, or Q0 to Q7. By default, the traffic in Q7 is the highest priority and the traffic in Q0 is the lowest priority. As common practice, we suggest handling VoIP traffic in Q5 and surveillance traffic in Q4. If you are creating a VLAN for VoIP or surveillance, expand Advanced Settings enable QoS queue, and select the corresponding queue. If this is not the VLAN for latency-sensitive service, the QoS queue configuration is not required. Finally, check all the parameters in this step. If all's good, click Next and go to Step 2, select Device Port. In this step, we can quickly configure the port VLAN status. You can select a device, including the gateway and switches, then select or unselect the ports on them. On the gateway, all the ports are selected by default. This means the VLAN being created will be tagged and added to all the ports on the gateway by default. If you unselect a port, the VLAN being created will not be added to this port on the gateway. For the switches, none of the ports are selected by default. Selecting a port assigns the VLAN as the native and only VLAN for that port, making it an access port, ideal for connecting PCs, APs, or cameras to communicate within that VLAN. For the unselected ports, the default VLAN will still be the native VLAN on it, and the VLAN being created will be tagged and added to this port, making it a trunk port. In conclusion, if a port will serve as the access port of a VLAN connecting to wired clients directly, it should be selected while creating the corresponding VLAN. As described previously, VLAN 10 will be used for the internal network, including the wired clients. VLAN 30 as the VoIP VLAN may include IP phones which are directly connected to the switch port without a PC. If you are connecting a PC after the IP phone on the same switch port, please refer to Chapter 4. VLAN 40 as the surveillance VLAN will also include the wired NVRs and cameras. While creating them, make sure to select all the ports reserved for wired clients. You can click and drag to batch select. When creating other VLANs, no port needs to be selected. After confirming that you have selected all the ports needed, click Next to go to the final step. In the final step, Confirm, you can see the summary of all parameters configured for this VLAN. If there's no problem, click Apply to finish the creation of this VLAN. If something's not right, click Back to return to the previous steps and modify. In the VLAN section, you will see the VLAN list. Simply click the Edit button to go back to the VLAN configuration page. Create all the 4 VLANs as introduced. Finally, in the VLAN list, you should be able to see the 5 VLANs. Configuring wireless network. Next, we'll configure the wireless networks, including the internal SSID for staff and devices, and the guest SSID for public access. In the site, go to Network Config, Network Settings, WLAN, SSID, and click Create New Wireless Network. We'll start by creating the internal SSID. Enter the name for it. If you are using a wireless gateway, you can also tick the gateway in device type to use it with APs. For bands, it's recommended to use both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. If you are using Wi-Fi 7 APs, tick 6 GHz as well to maximize the experience. For security, choose WPA Personal and enter the security key, which is the password for this SSID. Click to expand Advanced Settings. To enhance the internal network security, it's recommended to untick SSID Broadcast and tick Prohibit Wi-Fi Sharing. This keeps the SSID hidden from outsiders while still allowing internal access. For VLAN, as we have planned previously, VLAN 10 will be used for the internal network, but the APs are in the default VLAN 1. We need to select Custom on the VLAN choice, choose by network, and choose the VLAN 10 network. In this case, the devices connected to this SSID will go to VLAN 10, although the AP is in VLAN 1. For WPA mode, it's recommended to select WPA2 PSK/WPA3 to ensure security. Click Apply to finish creating this SSID. After creating the internal SSID, we will move on to the public guest SSID. Click Create New Wireless Network again, enter the name of the guest SSID, select device types and bands as needed, and tick the guest network feature. This ensures all the clients connected to this SSID are unable to access each other, preventing malicious activity. For security, it can be set as WPA Personal or None. Click to expand Advanced Settings, and as planned before, we will use VLAN 20 for the public guest network. Select Custom on the VLAN option and select VLAN 20 Network. similar to how we did on the internal SSID. Click Apply to finish creating this SSID. Now, we have finished creating the internal and public guest SSIDs. Connected clients should get IP addresses from the proper VLANs and adhere to the security configurations of their SSIDs. Configuring OUI-based VLAN and switch QoS for VoIP network. As introduced earlier, if an IP phone is the only devices connected to a switch port, simply set that port as an access port for the VoIP VLAN. By default, an untagged packet will be tagged when entering a port via the PVID. However, OUI-based VLAN allows users to tag a packet based on the OUI of its source MAC address, which is the first half of the MAC address. Usually, the IP phones deployed at a site are from the same vendor, meaning their OUIs are the same or within a few ranges. In this case, we can bind the IP phone's OUI to a specific VLAN, so when both the traffic from the PC and IP phone enter the port, the PC's traffic will be tagged with the PVID while the IP phone's traffic will be tagged with the OUI-based VLAN rule we configured. To configure the OUI-based VLAN, we need to create an OUI profile group first. In the site, go to Network Config, Profile, Groups, click Create New Group. Enter the name for this group and select the type as OUI Profile Group. Click Add to add the entries. Then collect the OUIs of all your IP phones. This is usually printed on the tag or box. Choose the OUI type as XX-XX-XX, which matches the first half of the MAC address. Enter the OUI and click Save. After entering all the OUIs into the OUI profile group, click Apply to finish creating this group. After creating the OUI group profile, it's time to create the OUI-based VLAN rule. Go to Network Config, Transmission, OUI-based VLAN, then click Create New Switch Rule. Enter the name for the rule and tick to enable. For the ports, select Custom Ports. We only need to apply this rule to the ports where IP phones and PCs are connected to the same port together. In the OUI-based VLAN list, click Add, and select the OUI profile we have just created. Select the VLAN ID as VLAN 30, which is the VoIP VLAN we created. For priority, select 5. Click Apply to save this VLAN rule. After creating the OUI-based VLAN rule, we also need to configure the VLAN status of these ports. The native VLAN should be VLAN 10, and the VoIP VLAN, VLAN 30, must be added as a tagged VLAN on these ports. Go to Device Config, Switch Ports. Select all the ports where PCs and IP phones are connected together on the same port. Click Edit Selected. Change the option of the network tag setting to Custom. With this option selected, after configuring a native VLAN on the port, we can configure the other untagged or tagged VLAN as we want. Here, we select the native network as the VLAN 10 network. Then, select the tagged network as the VLAN 30 network. Click Apply to save the configuration. We've now completed the OUI-based VLAN setup for ports where a PC connects through an IP phone to a single switch port. Configuring network isolation and port isolation for surveillance network. As we have described, security is highly concerned about surveillance traffic. Therefore, for the surveillance VLAN network, we need to isolate it from other networks using network isolation, and then configure port isolation so that all the cameras cannot communicate with each other. Now we need to configure network isolation to block any traffic between the surveillance VLAN network and other VLAN networks. Please make sure your gateway is updated to the latest firmware. In the site, go to Network Config, Network Settings, LAN, Isolation Settings. Then, click Add on the surveillance VLAN, which is the VLAN 40 network, or simply drag its block into the Isolated Networks area on the left. Click Apply to save the configuration. Then, configure port isolation to prevent all the cameras from accessing each other. Go to Device Config, Switch Ports, Port Profile. Click Add Profile to create a new profile for ports connecting to cameras. Enter the name and tick to enable port isolation. Click Save to finish creating the profile. Go to Port Settings, select all the ports connecting to cameras and click Edit Selected to batch edit. Change the profile to the profile we have just created and click Apply to save the configuration. Now, we have finished configuring network and port isolation for the surveillance VLAN network, which greatly enhances surveillance network security. In the previous part, we have introduced how to plan and divide a network with VLANs and its necessity. Some related configurations were also introduced. This should give you a clear view of how to plan and manage your network. New VLAN configuration panel for Controller version 6.0. Before OMATA Controller version 6.0, both the port VLAN status and other port configs such as PoE, port isolation, and multicast are together bound to the switch port profile. Since OMATA Controller version 6.0, VLAN configuration was removed from the switch port profile and can be configured or batch configured in the new port settings menu. This means that changing the port profile will not change the port VLAN status anymore. The new port settings menu is located in Device Config, Switch Ports. To configure the switch port VLAN status, we need to enter the port settings menu and click Edit on the ports. You may also select and batch edit multiple ports. For the network tag settings, there are three options: Allow All, Block All, and Custom. Allow All means that, apart from the native VLAN, all other VLANs are tagged and added to this port. This is also referred to as trunk mode. Block All means that the native VLAN is also the only VLAN on this port. All packets tagged with a different VLAN ID will be blocked from this port. This is also referred to as access mode. Custom means that, apart from the native VLAN, you can freely configure the untagged and tagged VLANs as you want. You may not add all VLANs on this port, and there's no limit to the quantity of tagged or untagged VLANs. This is also referred to as general mode or hybrid mode.